Hi, my name is Miriam, and this is the Black TV Show podcast. This is where I talk about my favorite TV show episodes, currently talking about season 2 of The Cosby Show. Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 25, The Cosby Show season 2, episode 1, First Day of School. This is the season premiere for season 2. It's crazy that we've already gone through one season of the show. There are 7 more seasons to go. I would say that season 2 is one of my top favorites just because I'm so familiarized with the episodes. Literally when I was watching this episode, I knew what was coming. I just could say what they were saying. And also back when I was in school, I would always actually end up watching this episode when it's the first day of school or just a couple days before school starts. So this episode in particular, I remember it really well. This episode aired September 26, 1985. Since this is a new season, there was a new opening credits. So the opening credits changed from the Huxtable in the park to a gray room with the cast dancing. The song was changed for the first time, keeping the show's theme signature and featuring a sort of jazz tone. Each cast member is descending, so we started with Sabrina, who plays Sandra, being the oldest, to going down to Rudy in descending age of their characters, dancing along beside Cosby as his or her names is shown in the credits. Bill Cosby is seen at the end of the credits dancing to the music, and the production credits appear, and at the end he quickly turns his head and looks into the camera before the sequence fades to black. They're gonna stick to this kind of tone for the rest of the series, and I actually like it better. I like these kind of theme songs. You don't see it much nowadays. With the shows that we watch on Netflix and Amazon Prime, they kind of just cut that out and let the credits just roll while the scenes are going. But I kind of miss the good old days when there were theme songs and them all the characters are dancing or doing something. And as I said, Sabrina is in the main credits, so she's now part of the main cast. Also, when I was looking up about the credits, or looking up about the theme song, it said that midway through this season, following Felicia's marriage, who plays Claire Huxtable, she got married to NBC sportscaster Ahmad Rashad. And so in this episode, her name is Felicia Ayres Allens, which is her given name, the name that she was born with, in the opening credits. But later on through the season, it'll be changed to Felicia Rashad, which is the name that we all know her by. It's kind of sad that she's not using her, the name that she was given by her parents, but it's okay. Felicia Rashad is a queen. So we started this episode off. We could see from the clock that it is 6:54 in the morning. Really early. I would rather be sleeping. But Rudy is up and she's all dressed up. She looks like a gypsy person, like genie out of the bottle kind of stuff. I can't really describe her. She has all these pearls, and this dress I would never wear. It's just bad. I feel like I've worn this kind of dress when I was a kid. Not the greatest dress. And she's all dressed up, and so she sneaks into the room. Instead of knocking, she just comes in and she goes onto their bed and starts jumping. And both Cliff and Claire are sleeping. And so Cliff tells Rudy, "I thought you're supposed to knock before you come in." She was like, "I didn't want to wake you." But yet she is waking them up by jumping on the bed. So what does that mean? Girl, what is your point? It's the same thing. You should have knocked instead of just walked in. But it's okay. She's 5. Or I guess now 6. So it's okay. I probably did that when I was 6 also. And so Cliff asked Rudy, did she come home from a date? Because she's all dressed up. And she was like, no. And Cliff asked her what time it is. And she was like, it is 6:55. And Cliff was like, I'm supposed to sleep till 7:00. And Rudy was like, I didn't want to be late. Today is the first day of school. And when he hears that, he jumps up. He's like, the first day of school. And so he wakes up and he tells Rudy she gotta change because she ain't wearing that gypsy outfit to school. So he gets her to go change, and Cliff all of a sudden jumps onto the bed, literally jumps over Claire and tells Claire it is the first day of school. And Claire was like, "What? It's the first day of school." And so Claire was like, "We get the whole house back." It's so funny. I love the way that they are. They're just like, they just want to kick their kids out of the house. And that is the theme of this like series where they're just trying to get their kids out of the house. You question sometimes, and you're like, why did they have children in the first place if they are just trying to get them out of the house? It doesn't make sense. Um, Let me know, why would someone have children just so that they can kick them out of the house? Let me know. And so Cliff said, we can get them out within 10 minutes. And Claire was like, there are children. We're not just going to throw them on, basically on the street. Like, we got to feed them breakfast. And Cliff was like, well, we fed them all summer. It's so funny. Cliff says he will fix breakfast and Claire can help them get all the kids get dressed up. She was like, no, you make breakfast, you get the kids dressed up and I will make breakfast. And Cliff was like, that's not fair. Like, that's not fair. And Claire was like, well, I got them all dressed up for the last day of school. And Cliff was like, well, when someone says last day of school, everyone's jumping up because they're happy because it's about to be summer break. And so they all dress themselves real quick. You didn't need to do nothing. Like, but when it's the first day of school, it's just like getting back into that mojo, getting back to routine is hard. And so, like, Cliff was like, okay, fine. And so he goes out in the hallway and he tests out that last day of school. And no one answers. He's like, last day of school. No one answers. And we start off going to Denise's bedroom. Okay, I mentioned this in season 1. Her bedroom in season 1 was at the back corner, but like, so you pass the washroom and then past the stairs and then to the right. For season 2 and going forward for the rest of the series, it is now the nearest to the camera, to the left, beside the parents' bedroom. I can't like remember for season 1, like, did they just never show that angle of that area? Like, what was that originally? Was that just blank space? I don't know. And so her room got moved. I kind of wish it was just originally there because it just makes sense the way that the house is laid out. It's having 2 rooms on each side. But, whatever. It's, it's a set design and art department's dilemma. And so we go to Denise's room. Well, we don't actually go inside, but Cliff knocks on the door, seeing if she's awake. She's like half asleep. She, I'm up. And so Cliff is like, you need to get up to get ready to school. And she's like, yeah, I will. So he was like, okay, whatever. And he was thinking at first, is there some guy in the room with her? And she was like, no, there is no guy in there. And so then the next room that we go to is Vanessa's room, or Vanessa and Rudy's room. But we see Vanessa, she's all ready to go to school, all dressed up, and Rudy is just trying to find a different outfit. And so Vanessa mentions that she's been up since 5 a.m. Damn, girl, I would not be up since 5 a.m. to go to school. I don't think I remember getting up so early to go to school. The only reasons I would ever get up early in the morning is to watch shows. That is the case. When I was much younger, I had to leave the house earlier than school started because my parents had to work. So I went to my aunt's house, and that's when I would watch The Cosby Show. Isn't that crazy to think about it? I would watch The Cosby Show at that time. I'm trying to think of other sitcoms, like Saved by the Bell was on at that time. I was up early for that. So that's the only reasons I would wake up. I remember like in high school, I didn't discover Sister Sister until I got to high school. And then I found it because someone put all the seasons on YouTube. And I was like, I gotta watch it as soon as possible because in case if they take down, because you know how YouTube is with copyright, they take down everything so quickly. So I was like, I have to watch it. So I would actually get up super early just to watch Sister. So that would be my only reasons of getting up early. And so
she got up early to get dressed up, and she's wearing a sweater that has one of her shoulders exposed, basically. It's her right shoulder, and it's fine. Like, the outfit looks fine. I feel like I've had an outfit like that, a sweater like that. And so Cliff comes and he pulls up that one shoulder so it could cover up, so it's just only like a little bit of her neck that's showing. And so then Rudy calls for Cliff, and when he turns around, she puts it back down. And then Vanessa's talking about how she's worried about school. The fact that I believe she is in grade 12 in this season, so she is going into grade 7. So she's very worried that, the fact that instead of back in the day where when you're in grade 6, you'd all stay in one class for all the different subjects. But in grade 7, you end up taking one subject with one teacher, and then you move to a different room to learn a different subject with a different teacher. So she's very nervous about that. I actually enjoyed doing that. You're moving rooms, you get to be with different friends. Because it sucks to be, when you're stuck in one class for the whole year and your best friend is in the other one. It really sucks, but with, having different subjects in different rooms, you get to be with different friends of yours, so you actually get to see your friend throughout the day. So I enjoyed it, but it is nerve-wracking, and especially once you get to high school, it's a much more nerve-wracking situation. And so Cliff keeps putting up that shoulder so it could be covered, and Rudy would call asking, is this outfit good? And he's like, yeah. And then Vanessa would pull it down, and then eventually he just like puts it right by her neck, and like basically she can't like breathe, and so we end that scene there, and we see Denise leaving her bedroom going to the washroom, but she doesn't really quite make it there. She just falls back and goes back to sleep, and she's literally standing and sleeping. I don't think I could do that. If I fall asleep and I'm like standing, I probably would drop to the ground, because when I sleep, my body is like basically dead. Like, it just can't stand on its own. So I don't know how she is able to sleep standing straight, and she's just against the wall. And Cliff sees her and is wondering, like, did she already use the washroom, or did she not use the washroom yet? And so he asked the question, and she was like, oh, I'm waiting to go into the washroom. So he checks the washroom, and there's no one there. And so he tells her to go inside. There's no one in there. And then Cliff goes to Theo's room, and he's like, I forgot what he said, but it's like, where mess comes to die or something like that. It's something to that extent. And it's just so funny the way he says it like that. And we go into the room, and you hear an alarm clock ringing, and it's just like, how do you sleep through that loud alarm clock? I have to just, if I hear an alarm clock and I am really tired, I will try not to put snooze, because if I put snooze, it's going to keep ringing for 10 minutes after. Like, that's not the case. So I'm just going to turn it off completely and go back to bed. Theo is just like a dead sleeper, basically. He can go sleep through that sound. And so Cliff looks for the alarm clock, and he found it under a bunch of clothes, because if you look in Theo's room, it's a mess. It's just clothes everywhere. As I said in previous episodes, that is just like my room. I'm able to find things, so it's just how we are, And so Cliff gets the alarm clock. It turns off. So then he he turns it around. This is an old model of alarm clock. Of course, we don't have these kind of alarm clock now, but he twists it around, and he puts it right by Theo's ear under the sheets, and it rings in his ear, and Theo's like, oh, and he just doesn't like it. And Cliff says, "It's alive!" And it's so funny the way he says it. But Theo still does not get up. So Cliff pulls the covers, and you see Theo's face, but he covers his eyes because the lights are he can see the lights. And Cliff pulls the sheets back, and like you see him, Theo crawling as a snail, and then Cliff will bring the sheets back, and he still is crawling, and then eventually he flips over and falls to the ground. And Theo was like, I'm trying to sleep, but I'm just getting off vacation. I need more sleep. And Cliff was like, you don't understand. A vacation is when someone has a job. You do not, but you did work hard. You worked hard at begging money. You worked hard at begging to stay up late to chase little girls that are not interested in you. That was so sad and so funny at the same time. And so, he's like, you need to get up, get educated, for your mind. And so we end the scene right there. And we're in the kitchen, and Claire comes down, and she is just looking good. Her outfit, it's like a high-waisted skirt with a pink blouse. And she just looks good, ready for work, And we see Rudy. She's writing her name, and she's able to spell Rudy Huxtable. And Claire asks her what she wants for breakfast. So Rudy says, I want cereal. And Claire says, cereal what? And so she's like thinking, cereal and banana. And then Claire is like, cereal, banana, and what? And then she's like, cereal, banana, milk. And then Claire is like, cereal, banana, milk, and what? And so Rudy's like, cereal, banana, milk, what am I missing, Oh, and she was like, in a bowl? It's so funny the way she said it too. And so Claire was like, okay, well, cereal, banana, milk in a bowl, what? And so she starts thinking, please. And so Claire was like, yes. So basically her answer, she wanted the, cereal, please, like say, like, to use her manners. And so that was the reason for this whole conversation. And so then Claire asks what she wants for lunch, and Rudy was like, I already have lunch. I made it 2 weeks ago, a tuna fish sandwich. And at the same time, Cliff is walking in, and Claire was like, ooh, look what Rudy made 2 weeks ago. Not so great, smelling bad. And Cliff was like, we gotta get rid of this. And he grabs like these long tongs that I guess that it's meant for the fireplace, and it removes that sandwich into the garbage. And so Cliff said that he would make a sandwich for her. And so we see Vanessa come in, and she is, all nice. And Claire was like, oh, you look nice. And Rudy was saying like, she's dressed up for boys, and the parents were like, no, that's not necessary. And Claire was like, but she's probably dressed up for the teachers. And Vanessa adds on, if boys look, it's just fine, it's not my problem, basically. And then Denise comes down and says, the senior has arrived, because this is the first time in high school that she doesn't have her braces. I remember having braces. I got it in grade 9, so I actually got it when I was in high school. I was supposed to get it in grade 8, but I was like, I don't want to have my grad photos have braces on my teeth. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till grade 9, and also wait until my uncle's wedding, because also there'll be a lot of photos for that event. And so I had it from grade 9 until I think grade 10, I believe. And then grade 11 and 12, it was, I didn't have it. So I didn't have it for the whole high school. But braces do suck. I hated it. It's annoying. I don't like it. And so Denise was like, my social, what is it called? Reputation was bad because I had braces. And Cliff was like, it's not a form of punishment that we gave you braces, because if it was, we would have had a bigger house, because, braces are expensive, I would know. So, and Theo comes down, he's wearing this shirt without sleeves. And apparently there were sleeves originally when they bought this shirt. And so Cliff asked, like, where are the sleeves? And Theo was like, upstairs. And Cliff was like, they didn't want to come down? And he's like, no, I cut them off. And Cliff was like, at some point in this lifetime, you will wear those sleeves, because we bought the shirt with the sleeves on. We didn't buy a shirt without the sleeves. And so, and Theo said this is cooler to wear the shirt without sleeves. So then we end the scene and everyone is off to go to school. Claire tells Cliff that she made an appointment with him, pretending to be Mrs. Ogawa, a pregnant woman, this is her first appointment. And this was the only way, I guess, she could get Cliff alone. So Claire let him know that, she is Mrs. Ogawa. And so we finish Act 1 and we go into Act 2 and we see Denise. She's running down the stairs and yells out the door to a honking car, I guess, with a bunch of girls, saying, "I'm coming!" And so she puts her shoelaces on, and Cliff comes in and says, there's a whole bunch of girls honking, like, are they for you? And she's like, yeah, they're my friends. And so she's about to leave, and Cliff was like, have a good time. And she was like, wait, you didn't ask where I'm going, and don't do anything stupid. And he's like, well, you're a senior now. Like, I know you know better, And she's like, oh, this is good. This is a milestone, basically. So it's great. And at the same time, Theo comes in and talks about, there are a full car full of girls honking at me. And Denise was like, no, they're honking for me. And he was like, oh. And so he walks in and Cliff asks, like, how was school? And he was like, it's not great. And Cliff was like, oh, is it because everyone was wearing sleeves? It's so funny. And so he's like, no. He said he had a nightmare because that he was thinking, because he had this was on his mind all summer, that he got Mrs. Westlake for math class. And Cliff was like, what's wrong with her? And so there was like a quick pause where he drinks his juice, or pours the juice, and he mentions that Mrs. Westlake likes to call on kids that don't have their hands up, and when the class is over, she makes them stay until she is done teaching. And also the fact that Theo got homework on the first day of school. I remember it was a thing when I was in elementary school, junior high, that knowing that I probably won't have any homework for the first 2 days of school, because usually school would start on the Thursday, so it would be Labor Day, and then for some reason Tuesday, Wednesday usually are like you meet your teacher or there's something going on, and then Thursdays when you have school, and then so you have Thursday, Friday. I think once I got to grade 12 though, I feel like I did get homework on the first day, especially when I took either AP courses, or like in grade 11 I took grade 12 math. So I could take university math in grade 12. So I believe at that time that's when we had like homework in the first day, but it wasn't as much as compared to later on throughout the year. And so I understand his dilemma. Like you're used to not having homework on the first day of school, and Mrs. Westlake, ruins it. And so Cliff leaves the kitchen to go into the living room, and he sees Rudy. She seems very down compared to what we saw her in the beginning of the episode. And so he asked her a bunch of questions, and basically her response to him was fine. And so you clearly know she's not happy, And so she gives him a paper to fill out. He mentions, he's like, whoa, you go to school, but I get the homework? And so basically she says that for that little card or form, I don't even know what it was. It wasn't like a full paper. Like nowadays you'd see a full paper thing to fill out for emergencies. But it was for him to fill out in case of emergency to contact. And I was wondering to myself, I'm like, don't they fill this out when you register your child to a certain school? I feel like that's when they would ask that. I don't know why after her first day of school they would trust the child with this paper. You know what I mean? Like, it seems very weird to me. I feel like nowadays, when you register your child to a school, that's when they're going to ask you all those questions. So Rudy doesn't want to go back to school. She says she hates it because there's a boy named James calling her Rudy Huckleberry. I like that's a nice name, Huckleberry. Very nice name. But she doesn't like being named that. And so Cliff is like, oh, there's nothing to worry about it. Like kids are, he's basically saying like kids are kids, And so he tells Rudy to help him fill out the card. And she's like, okay. So she says, Mr. and Mrs. Huckleberry. And Cliff is just looking, wow. And so then it's later in the evening, and Claire is trying to work. I guess she's has a court case happening soon, so she's working from home. And everyone is yelling. So we start off with Vanessa calling out for Rudy. Where, like, Rudy. And then we hear Theo looking for Denise. And so he's like, Denise! And we find out Denise is in the kitchen because Claire is every time someone yells, Claire will be like, why are you yelling? Or if she knows where the person is, she will say the person's in the kitchen. And then Rudy, again, the third person to yell, Rudy calls out for Theo. Theo! And so then finally Claire pulls Rudy and says, why are you yelling? You don't need to yell. So basically she tells Rudy to go into the kitchen. And so once Rudy gets in the kitchen, Denise yells for Vanessa. Vanessa! And so and she says she found Rudy. And Vanessa was like, does she have my hairbrush? And so and then Claire just was like, so you guys need to stop yelling. So she goes running into the kitchen and says, the next one that yells will get it. And Cliff comes home. I don't know if he was coming home from a delivery. I'm not sure. But he comes home and he says Claire, and Claire doesn't respond. So then he says Claire, and so and then she walks in and she is mad and asks, what does he want? What do you want? And he was like, is there something wrong? And she was like, yeah, noise. There has been noise all evening. And so Cliff is like, well, we gotta talk their language, And Vanessa and Rudy comes in yelling at each other, saying, that is my hairbrush. That is, you can't have it. And Cliff is like, it's the noise of autumn. And Cliff is like, we just gotta talk their language. And so all of a sudden they start yelling, how are you? Where are you? I am in the living room. They're literally yelling this out, and all four kids come in and be like, what is going on? And they're like all looking at them weird. And Claire and Cliff go into the kitchen, and it's the nighttime, so we're into a different scene. And the phone is ringing for Vanessa. It is 10:01, so which means Vanessa cannot have any phone calls. So a person calls and says, like, can I talk to Vanessa? Cliff says, nope, it is 10:01. She can't be on the phone at this hour, as her cutoff point was 10 o'clock. And apparently there was a lot of phone calls throughout the night. What's crazy is nowadays, this is just not a thing, because a lot of kids, because Vanessa is 12. So I feel like nowadays a lot of 12-year-olds have cell phones. So it's just like, how do you monitor them using their cell phones? Like, you have to make sure that they're falling asleep. I don't know how that works, because like when I got my cell phone, I got it when I was, my first one, I got it when I was 14. So I was in grade 9, and it wasn't even an iPhone. It was like a slide phone. Like, you could type and stuff, but you had limited texting and limited calling. So it was just like really pointless. I could only use it for really like emergency cases, or if I needed to contact someone, if I needed a ride or something like that. But nowadays kids have iPhones, iPads, where it has so much, like, you have YouTube and like Netflix and so many other things on there that can keep you up. Like, I don't know how it's like being 12 and having that technology. Like, it's so different from what we're seeing in this episode, where it's literally just a phone that everyone shares. It's just crazy how technology has changed in terms of the teenage years. And so Cliff says, Vanessa is showing all the signs of being a teenager. And Cliff, so they were both not happy. Cliff and Claire were like both not happy with that statement. And Cliff says, the problem is that we had the children too close. We should have had the kids 20 years apart. How the heck is that even supposed to happen? Because, Claire is going to hit menopause by the age of 50. And there's literally an episode in this series about her hitting menopause in the later seasons. But she can't like conceive a baby. How's that even gonna happen? And Claire was like, that wouldn't be good because I would be 108 when I have Rudy. And at that time, like, I don't want to be cleaning up, going after and cleaning up a child. And Cliff was like, by that time, technology, the babies will be able to self-clean. I doubt it. It's crazy to think, I see a lot of like shows from the 80s and 90s talking about what the technology would be like in the early like the 2020, like this time, and then I look at the technology we have. It's so completely different than what they thought of. It's crazy to think about that. And that is the end of the episode. And so this episode was a really funny episode. I literally laughed throughout the whole thing. I was trying to figure out what the lesson for this episode. I really don't know. We're just learning about the issues of, taking care of 4 children, getting them ready to go to school. So I don't really know what the lesson is, so I'm gonna leave it for there. But I have a question for you guys. Do you have a memorable first day of school moment? I don't. For me, they're not like top memories, but I do remember, going to the 9th grade, going to a brand new school and, getting lost basically. And it's crazy. By the time it was grade 12, I was like, damn, this school's so small. But in grade 9, I literally felt like it was so big of a school. And, I made the mistake of bringing all my books and binders and all my supplies with me when it was really just more of like an orientation kind of day. And I was like, damn, I could have just left everything at home and just had like a purse and that's it. And then also another memorable first day of school is when I first started university. And I had the same thought. I was like, damn, this school is big. I got lost. I couldn't figure out how to get to certain places. And then by the time, like after a couple of years, I'm like, damn, this school is so small. It's crazy to think about it like that, the perspective. So that is my, and like the fact that, for my university first day of school, we got to go to the football stadium, which is, actually the stadium where our football team, like our city football team plays in, like the CFL plays there. And like concerts have been there, like Beyonce and Jay-Z have been there. And unfortunately, I didn't end up going to the concert because it was too expensive for me and for my budget. So, but like a lot of big stars have been there. So this was on our campus. And so I remember that being on the first day of school, going to there, and they did a whole bunch of activities. So that's my memorable first day of schools. But let me know using the hashtag first day of school at Black TV Shows Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. The next episode is The Juicer. It's season 2, episode 2. So I'll talk to you on the next one.